Hello and welcome to another We Uplift TV moment. I'm Natalie from Healing Isis and also from Whispering Energy. You've seen me talk before with Tawan, and I have the pleasure of talking with her again today. Today, we're not going to talk about her radio show, her Facebook page, or anything like that. We're actually going to talk about her as an author. And having said that, Tawan, you have a book that is called On the Periphery of Death, which is not very encouraging when you are thinking about it. Just death. So, can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Yes, Natalie, I can. It's actually a great story, a personal story, a mere reflection of when I survived the depths of despair known as depression.
So, you're talking about yourself openly and honestly, no bars on?
Yes, the good,
Wow.
the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, I guess on the one hand that must feel liberating, but isn't it also a little scary when you write that openly about your experiences?
It is, Natalie, but it's very healing when you can be so transparent and just really wanting to break down the walls and get down to the actual subject matter of what leads someone into depression by sharing your own story. You become selfless in a sense where at least it was my thinking that hopefully my story, me sharing my story, will be able to help millions and millions of others, like the folks who are suffering with PTSD. And then also, if when someone does commit suicide,
Oh.
or unfortunately, there are a lot of questions for family members, especially if no one left to know, or if no one picked up on the warning signs. And so, by me sharing my story, it's a lot of people remove that stigma that is oftentimes associated with depression.
You just said so much in that little segment there. I don't even know where to go back to. But let me just I think you mentioned the stigma. What is the stigma about depression? And since you're saying this is a book about yourself, how did you overcome it, and how can you so openly talk about it now?
Yes. Well, the stigma is that something is simply wrong with you. If you go through a depression, of course, oftentimes you feel as if your mind and your body is betraying yourself because you're simply not yourself, because you're simply not well. What I often found out with the research and doing the book is I heard from a lot of prominent professionals, lawyers, doctors, and major employers who secretly struggle with depression, but they have their whole lifestyle on the line, their whole way of making an income on the line if they move forward. And so they would contact me to encourage me after they purchased the book and share how it helped them and it helps them with their struggles. So that's what I mean about the stigma. I've had a lot of doctors contact me and said
Right.
if I seek help, I'll actually lose my practice. And so with education, hopefully comes the grace and knowledge to understand and encourage more people to seek help.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about stigmas with a variety of I don't want to say illnesses, because I don't think it's an illness. I think it's a stage that many people go through in their transformation, as you pointed out. Now, when I looked at your book, I noticed a couple of things. And the first thing that struck me was that you have two dedications instead of one. I mean, a lot of people don't even have one, but you have two. What made you decide on two different dedications?
Well, that was a deliberate act that actually evolved as I was completing that literary work. Just I wanted to number one thank the people in my life who were my support team and who I value so much, but then also my perceptions of when I was in that dark space or what was leading to that dark space because my depression it was actually triggered by a work situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also wanted to create a dedication to let what I feel, let to just free up that energy, and for those people that I felt help to contribute to that, to let them know I forgive you, and also forgiving myself.
Okay, I got to jump in on that one. Because
Yes,
the term forgiveness, I mean, I happen to believe that forgiveness is a crucial aspect. And also, what you just said, the probably hardest thing that I found is forgiving yourself. It's much easier to forgive everybody else for whatever they may have done. So, how did that play out? How difficult was it for you to forgive yourself for being in that state or for some other aspects of it?
it was very difficult when I turned the mirror back on myself and looked at the whole transition into journeying into that dark space. I had to once and for all look at the circumstance and accept full responsibility, because that was essential in my healing process, and give myself permission to forgive myself for um, letting myself just believe that lie, and believe that perception, and sink into that dark space, Natalie.
Yeah. Um, but you had, like you said, you had some people help you, and it also seems to me from another aspect of your book that faith helped you a lot as well. Can I put it
Yes,
like that?
yes, absolutely. That was very instrumental again in the healing process, just connecting back with what I call the source, the creator, and then also um, just having that belief in that strength to seek help and surround myself by professionals, and then also a support group of friends and family members who have my best interests at heart.
So tell me a little bit about the prayer that's in your book. I think it's right after the dedications, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't have the book in front of me right now, but it's right there. And tell me a little bit how this prayer came to be and what it means to you.
Yes, the prayer, I feel it was divinely inspired, just to encourage whoever would have the opportunity to read the book, um, just to set the standard and just create a space of healing, and almost to prepare the reader for what they are about to read, but then also encourage the reader that they are not alone, that there are forces working for their good. And if they are in a situation of despair, that it will get better.
I mean, I read it and I just found it very powerful. On the one hand, very powerful, but also very personal, and probably with room for everybody who reads it to make a couple of little modifications that fit their lives better. So I thought it was very powerful. Um, and in general, what do you think about the power of prayer? I know I'm getting away a little bit from the book, but it seems to be just one of those facets throughout the book when it comes to faith and praying.
Yes, I believe that prayer and meditation is very important, just to quiet the mind and just center on just what I believe is within everyone, and it goes back to that light. Just in stillness, you can gain so much, and so much wisdom out of nothingness. We all can, and um, at the end, we'll leave with nothing. So while we're here, let's maximize our life in community and in love with each other. But it begins with us and with the desire, just to let our light shine and be the best person we can be.
So, what kind of wisdom or lessons have you learned from writing the book and afterwards? from the reactions. I mean, you mentioned a couple of reactions from people. What is the end result, if there is one, or what's the ongoing lesson that you're learning from having written on the periphery of death?
I would say the overall lesson in chapter 7. It's the end, the last chapter, but it speaks on love, and um, I would say that I learned how to truly love myself. Now it is a constant process, and some days are better than others on the love meter.
Yeah, I think that goes for everybody, though.
Yes, absolutely. But in when one truly loves themselves, of course they set up healthy boundaries, cultivate healthy relationships, and they learn to take inventory of their lives. And sometimes, if you need to, what I call release yourself or free yourself from the dead weight, then you have to make those decisions in your life just to move forward and maintain your level of peace.
Wow. That's very powerful. Just release yourself from the dead weight. I mean, that's a whole new segment in itself, I'm thinking. Dewan, I want to thank you. Your book obviously is very personal. It's obviously very helpful to others. I hope more people will take a look at it. I know it's available on Amazon, and I know they can ask you questions on your Facebook page and on your talk show. But I want to thank you for making the time and sharing a little bit about this very interesting and open book with us. I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate you, Natalie. Thank you.